Hello, I'm Min Kobayashi, and I am super excited to be doing my first review of non-bookish things. So, anyone who knows me knows I absolutely adore comics and superheroes and everything to do with them. So, I have been excited for this show to come out for over a year and a half, since before the casting came out, and I am primarily a DC Comics person. I do enjoy the MCU movies, however, the TV shows and other things, I don't watch too many of them. I've dabbled in them, but not like, I'm not a fan, I would say. DC Comics, animated books, TV shows, animated shows, I love them all, just not the movies, because I am really surprised by how much I liked it, and this is only on the first episode because I wanted it to be non-spoiler for the rest of the series. However, I might do something when I finish the season. This show is, in a nutshell, about these two teenagers named Tandy and Tyrone. When they were young, both had a traumatic experience where they lost someone very close to them on the same day. And they don't know it, but years later, that manifests in powers which saved their lives that night. And that is so intriguing. I have not read this comic as I don't tend to read Marvel comics, but I am excited because I know that this has been changed quite considerably from the source material, but I know that they said it was because, you know, it was written quite a while ago and had sexism and racism and other stuff that just wasn't super as good, but they wanted to make it adaptable for today, which I think, so far, it's doing a great job. This story just, like, defines stereotypes. I love it. Everyone loves their kick-butt female protagonist, and this series has one already. Played by Olivia Holt, Tandy is incredible. We meet her as a, like, 7-year-old ballerina who's dancing in the rain and completely adorable, and now she's all grown up and she's pulling heists. She's using her wits, her wisdom, and everything else to get exactly what she wants. However, she's dealing with crazy odds after the death of her father and her mother's downhill approach to drugs and alcohol and just not be able to keep a job. She deals with addiction as well as being homeless. I love that she's not a hardened girl though. Like, often people are like, if we need like this kick-butt female protagonist, we needed her to be like, I have no emotions. We see her with so many emotions in only the first episode. And she's so sad, but she's so smart too. And she loves ballet. Tyrone loses his brother to police brutality at around the age of 7. They don't give their age, I'm just kind of estimating. And that could have really hardened him. He dealt with growing up with maybe not the best influences. A lot of black men have a lot of pressure against them, and it's sometimes hard to live a life when everyone is assuming you're going to fail. And yet he seems to be a star athlete and a star pupil to show a man who is not given to the stereotype. Not that people who are caught into bad situations because of the place they live in isn't true, but it's nice to show that, you know, there are people that rise above that, and I love the discussion of pressure and his expectations and him trying to do the best he can. His parents are very worried that because his brother died, that he will also die. And there's this line that says, I'm afraid that even if you do everything right, you'll still end up dead. And that is such a saddening and yet true thing that happens in the United States, where just because a black person does everything right does not mean that they won't be stereotyped, that they won't end up on the wrong side of a gun because someone is racist. And that is terrifying, and yet I'm so happy that it's being talked about more in the media, in Black Lightning, in The Hate U Give, in this, and I think that that's very powerful. Again, leading in from there, I am very happy that this has not shied away from hard issues. It is not an easy thing to deal with because he deals with racism. He deals with racism in his sports, where refs are not calling people out despite the fact that they are shoving him and beating him. We deal with police brutality right off the bat. This is like a huge trigger warning, is rape culture, because there is a very hard scene to watch in which someone tries to take advantage of another person, and I think I hope that is dived into a little bit more, but I think that acknowledging that that's something that happens and people go along with it. Like, people don't stand up for someone and say, this is wrong, and that is a sad reality we live in. And then also addiction. Addictions to alcohol as well as drug addiction, which, especially for women, isn't dealt with a lot in media. I personally know tons of men and women who have both dealt with addiction, and to see that represented, I think, is really powerful. I think this is something I saw in every review, which was the music. The music is outstanding. From the time the first song played, I was like, oh, this is gorgeous. Music is something that speaks very much to me. It is something that I love in like every show. The music kind of breaks or makes it for me. And I think this was brilliant. It was described as like a jazzy New Orleans player, and I was like, yeah, that's awesome. I love it. And yet there's also like interchanging, so because Tyrone is associated with black culture and stuff like that, there's often hip-hop played in different situations, and I'm like, that is good because that represents part of his character. And when Tandy does certain things, we have ballet music played, and that is beautiful as well. And I love the characterization that goes on with the different kinds of music, and it's done really brilliantly in the first episode, and I really hope it continues. And the songs are very potent and like dive to the heart. And I just went and like listened to the soundtrack after watching it. So some people said it was slow to start. I think that it is very character driven, which is very true. We don't dive into an episode where, you know, I'm going to use The Flash, which is one of my favorite shows, but, you know, in the first episode we have, oh, setup, and then, oh, tragedy, and then, oh, powers, and fixing this, and, you know, get a villain all in this one episode, and it's like, that is a lot, and there isn't a lot of development for Barry. However, in here, we just focus on them. We have a villain, we have someone who did mysterious things, and I'm pretty sure is going to be the villain for the series, but that isn't the focus. The focus is on who they are, and what they are, and where they start from, and I think that is really brilliant, and I really am enjoying that, and I'm really excited to dive in more. I also think that it's super great that they have a very small but manageable cast. So there isn't very many people introduced in the first episode, which can make it very overpowering. We pretty much just focus on Tandy and Tyrone. We have their parents very briefly in there, and we have a few acquaintances and stuff like that, but primarily we're focusing on the two of them, which is super great. I would also like to note, like, they moved it from New York to New Orleans, which I think is super awesome because New Orleans is so awesome. Like, I've been to over 20 states, but I still don't really want to go and visit most places in the United States. But other than New York and like New Orleans and San Diego Comic-Con. But, you know, like that's one of the places where I'm like, that is so awesome. And there is so many superheroes in New York. I'm very glad that we're hitting a new place, even though New York is awesome. I also wanted to like do a huge shout out. They primarily sought out actors that weren't like 27. Both of these actors, Olivia Holt and Aubrey James, were both cast at the age of 19 and filmed at 19, and they're still 20 now. So it was like the first teen show like I've watched where the actors are younger than myself. So that's nice because I'm like, I'm almost done college. And they are so charismatic. They are brilliant actors. They have so much chemistry. I heard so many reviews that were just like, if this show goes, it's going to be off the backs of their such great acting, which I agree. And last but not least, we didn't see a lot of them, but their powers are sick. They look awesome. They're very visually cool. And I'm really excited. They haven't explained all the things they can do, but I'm really excited to see that. And I cannot wait to jump more into this series. So I hope that you also will like it because it looks really awesome. And then feel free to like, subscribe, and comment. And have a great day. Bye.